What's up everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Demon Souls. That little cutscene there was just showing how you make your ascent up from the first level of the Tower of Latria to the second one. And man, I feel really stupid right now. I don't know what was wrong with me the last few times I did Latria in the past. It is not nearly as bad as I hyped it up to be. I think the LP actually helped because I was way more systematic than usual in searching things out. And that really helps with understanding the layout. But now I'm going to go back to the Nexus and talk to some NPCs, so see you in a few. Actually, I lied. I'm not going to talk to NPCs just yet. First, I'm going to do a little bit of backtracking from the start of the first level of the Tower of Latria, just to show you how to get to Sage Freke once you have the key from towards the end of the level to rescue him. And I really hope I don't get lost. That'd make for a pretty shitty video walkthrough for this. So, here's how the beginning of this video is going to play out. The first 10 minutes or so are going to be NPC dialogue, backtracking from the start of 3-1 to rescue Freke, like I am right now. Gonna spend some Demon Souls on some spells now that, well, once Sage Freke is rescued, because he is one of the 2 advanced magic teachers. And then I'm gonna go back through 4-1, the first level of the Shrine of Storms, to show off the shortcut and where we get the Ring of Regeneration, which I skipped over way back in one of the first videos when I did that level. And then, after all that stuff is done, I will start up the first level of the Valley of Defilement. So look forward to that. I'll put a timestamp at the beginning of the video for when the Valley of Defilement starts, so if you want to skip some of the backtracking here, you can. It's not going to be like tons and tons of walking around. It's mostly just, you know, like the time it takes for the NPCs to talk, and a few short little trips. The trek to Freke isn't that long. Although Octopus Guard here is holding me up a little bit with all this damage he is doing to me. Damn! And I'm going to cut out all the parts that you don't actually need to see, but if you're trying to follow this to actually find Freke, then you need to see the path there, and the same goes for the short little walk to the shortcut in the Shrine of Storms, level 1. So I believe you come this way. It's where you wait for another Octopus Guard, like we've done so many times in the past few episodes. Anyway, all of this shouldn't take much more than 10 minutes, maybe 10 or 11. Let's see. While I'm on my way there, though, let's talk a little bit about an NPC who goes by the name Jerry. Jerry, we don't ever see in-game, at least it's not as far as I know. There might be a little Easter egg corpse that someone has deduced, has connected the dots to figure out that he's Jerry. Not anyone I know of, though. Jerry makes a bunch of our rings. He made the Ring of Flame Resistance, Poison Resistance, Magical Sharpness, probably Magical Dullness, which we haven't gotten yet. And he's a friend of Sage Freke, according to all these item descriptions. He also makes an item called Jerry Stiletto. He also made the Augite of Guidance. And here's Freke. Augite, by the way, I've been mispronouncing as Augite. It's derived from a Greek word meaning lustrous.
Magnificent. I never expected to get out of there alive. My name is Freke. I am known as a sage. I thought my magic would give me an edge against these demons, but how wrong I was. I have been enfeebled by my long imprisonment, but I can still move my legs, and I can make it back to the Nexus. I thank the stars that I escaped when I did. I owe you my life.
That's Jerry Stiletto, our reward for rescuing Freke. And Jerry, there's not a ton of information about him, though his presence seems to be ubiquitous, as the item descriptions for all these things would indicate. Oh, by the way, the Augites of Guidance, they can be dropped as multicolored glowing orbs of light. We'll see some of those in the next level of the Tower of Latria. But now that Freke is free, we can actually go back to the Nexus and start messing around with some of the stuff he has to teach us, we can start using our demon souls to learn spells.
I have been enfeebled by my long imprisonment, but I can still move my legs, and I can make it back to the Nexus.
Also, praise the fucking sun. I found Freke.
I have been, but I can still move.
I found Freke quickly and easily, which has not been the case when I've done this in the past. Anyway, though, instead of walking all the way back to the Archstone, why don't I just go ahead and cut here back to the Nexus. See you guys in a second for some, probably some dialogue.
You saved Sage Freke, did you not? Then I was right to bend the rules and teach you a few tricks. Nevertheless, I'm grateful to you. Do you see how important selfless acts are in this dreary world? What is it? Are you... so be better than having you bother Sage Freke. Sage Freke prefers to work alone. Do not dare to bother him by gabbing about trifling nonsense. He is on the verge of discovering something that will rival even the demon souls.
That is ominous.
He is on the verge of discovering...
Alright, so I'm at Sage Freke's menu. The Soul Ray spell you get from the Dull Demon Soul, Fire Spray from the Hard Demon Soul, respectively. That's Fool's Idol and the Armored Spider. And let's see, what else can I get right now? I believe I can pick up Fireball and Warding from the Dragon Demon Soul and from the Tower Knight Soul, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm still going to wait because I think I'm going to use Dragon Demon Soul for the Miracle, Wrath of God. Now I just want to equip either Flame Toss or Fire Spray, because everything in the Valley of Defilement is very, very weak to
Bring
fire
me more
damage.
demon souls when you can. I patiently await you, my fine magician friend.
And here we are back in the first level of the Shrine of Storms. This is really early in the level. It's when you take the stairs up from where the first arrow trap is, right up here, the battlements, you just run right across here, and you notice this is the stairway down to where the copper key was locked behind a gate. There is a roll you can perform here to get over the wall, and it's just, the positioning is a little bit tricky. Sometimes it takes me a couple tries to get it. I'm trying to get a good camera angle here to show you what waits below. Maybe this time? No. Shit. It would really suck if I had to, like, speed up right now. Hopefully, one more shot. Just gotta find the right position. There we go, and you can catch the edge of the wall and then drop down. Then you can drop to the left, and this is the Regenerator's Ring, which just gives you a little tiny bit of HP regeneration. I think it's 1 or 2 a second. And then if you follow the cliff face here along the edge, there's another crystal lizard. Stabby stabby. What do we have? Dark Moonstone? Yeah, sure, I could use some of that. Oh, God. Oh, I thought that was an arrow trap. It was just the sound of boxes breaking. Let's just finish those evil, dastardly boxes off. And if you don't recognize this area, it's the last area of the level. It's right across that plank is where the Grave Robber's Ring was, and whoop, turn around. This is right where the Fog Gate... Oh, that is an arrow trap! This is where the Fog Gate to Adjudicator was. So, you can reduce this level down to about a 5-minute run using that shortcut. There are many similar shortcuts like it throughout the game. Similar to, like, the Flame Lurker shortcut. You just drop right down. You won't take much damage from falling damage there. And again, let's cut ahead.
We neutralized the Old One and banned the Soul Arts. Then we spread the Archstones, and in order to mend reality, monumentals we became. However, man's memory of history is o'ershort, and before long he repeated his mistakes. The monumentals perished, and the Archstones were long forgotten. And the short-sighted King Alant once again aroused the Old One. Have you received assistance from the Candle Maiden? She is a prisoner of this nexus. It is her duty to lull the Old One back to slumber. That is why she helps those who hunt demons. And that is why she has become a demon herself. A soul is the essence with which living things comprehend the world around them. When one loses the soul, one loses the mind. And a land barren of souls is absorbed by fog and banished to the infinite darkness. The Old One is a bottomless pit of nothingness, with an insatiable appetite for the souls collected by its faithful demons. The Old One's very nature cannot be fathomed by the living.
Very Lovecraftian sentence there. The Old One cannot be fathomed. Okay, so now that all of that's out of the way, we can get on with the first level of the Valley of Defilement. One of my favorite worlds in the entire game, even though some people hate it because it's so dangerous and so precarious. It's also the older brother to a level that, if Dark Souls is your only exposure to the Souls series, there is a similar level you might remember as the infamous Blight Town. The Valley of Defilement is the older brother of Blight Town. So off camera, I changed my armor set around a little bit. I'm now using. I was gonna use the Dragonbone Smasher, but I don't want a weapon that slow up here and that has the potential to really knock me around as much. Just look at that view and this stream, this projectile vomit stream of leeches and vermin. Oh man, makes my skin crawl. I'm also using all of the black leather set right now, except I'm using fluted leggings to maintain that quick roll speed and a decent mix of magic and physical defense. I just want to make sure I stay under half equip burden so I can be nice and nimble. Ah, fell down. Stupid pitfall. Yeah, this entire level is just composed of rotted, warped planks that form these narrow little ledges. So the Valley of Defilement is, to put it lightly, disgusting. It is a filthy, fetid bog of putrilage where the walls wriggle with leeches. It's, in my opinion, one of the grossest locations in video games. It is like a level-wide equivalent of that scene in Silent Hill 2 where James plunges his hands into the toilet, except without that nauseating slurping, sucking sound. Ugh. It's definitely one of those levels that, if you really pay attention to the environments and all of the nasty stuff that's going on, it can really make you uncomfortable and make your skin crawl. You play this when you've gone without sleep for a little while and you really start to feel things on your skin. It's terribly uncomfortable level. Just filth. It is the embodiment of filth. And that is why it's called the Valley of Defilement. So my first time through 5-1, I'm gonna miss a few things. I'm not gonna open the shortcut up, and I'm not gonna get the Blessed Mace. The Blessed Mace. I'll come back to 5-1 later to show where all that stuff is. The reason is because there are a lot of precarious drops, like I said, that you can make to expedite your progress through the level. And all of that stuff, the shortcut, the Blessed Mace, it requires you to make some of these really nasty drops, and I don't remember their placement well enough. And I'm worried enough about falling to my death here anyway, let alone all the other dangers that accompany this level. It's gonna be less completionist than some of the other levels, but I will revisit it to show you whatever I do miss. Just like I did just now with the Shrine of Storm shortcut and the ring and all that. So, let's see, there's a Talisman of God here, a set of Saints' robes, a few upgrade stones. There is a Ring of Magical Dullness somewhere, I think towards the end of the level. My memory of this level, that's on top of the Blessed Mace and Istarel and the other stuff. My memory of this level's secrets is pretty fuzzy, so again, we'll revisit it when I get Pure White World Tendency, because you need Pure White World Tendency anyway to unlock a ladder that leads to the Spear Istarel anyway. There are some really, really nasty drops down here that I'm not comfortable making. Not exactly right here. I've actually passed some of the more dangerous parts of the level already. It's always a good idea to come into this level with either fire bombs or a bow or some ranged magic, because if you drop onto 5 enemies who are surrounding you, it's pretty much guaranteed death. So I mentioned Spear Istarel in Pure White World Tendency a moment ago, and that's a pretty good spot to talk about the story of the Valley of Defilement and the knights who accompanied Maiden Astraea, the 6th saint, into the valley. So as the Archstone stated, the Valley of Defilement is a plagued valley where the disenfranchised and the wretched have been discarded, relegated to live in squalor. And the really nasty drop that I'm talking about is coming up right here momentarily. But anyway, as some NPCs have indicated to us, namely the church followers in the Nexus, the compassionate 6th Saint Astraea led a party of her followers into the recesses of the valley to help these wretched souls heal the sick. To help these wretched souls and heal the sick. There we go. Words. She and her loyal knight, and perhaps her lover, Garl Vinland, now live among them at the bottom of the valley. She's set up as kind of a Mother Teresa figure, a saintly figure overflowing with compassion for those that society has cast out. She even accepted the burden of becoming a demon and taking on a demon soul for reasons that will be made clear in time. The Valley has one of my favorite story arcs. I like it even more than Latria's, because it explores kind of an existential dilemma in ways that the others don't. But to say any more than that before we've gone further into the wretched pit of the valley would be poorly timed. But there is a lot more to talk about with Astraea and her arc. There's also there's an entirely separate side to her story that we're going to start to hear about shortly from the merchant here, the filthy woman. So some of her companions who accompanied her into the valley included Liziah and Vito, who I talked about in a previous episode about localization, who some of the NPCs inconsistently call Liziah and Vito, and that's mainly because of the interchangeable letters when translating to English from Japanese. Liziah of Istarel and Vito the Moonlight Knight, along with Garl Vinland. Salen Vinland later came along in search of her brother Garl. So, oh god, knocked my mic a little bit. So, I bring those two up because I want to talk a little bit about what might have become of them. So you find Liziah's polearm here, which is named Istarel, and it increases your resistance to plague and poison. And from Istarel's location, you can see down into a pit where the boss is located. So there's some further evidence that Guardian Owl, a poster on GameSpot, first pointed out to me. And it's basically that when you beat Leechmonger, the boss of the area, you get an ability from him called Poison Cloud, or Cloud of Poison, something like that. And you can also get a spell which protects against those status ailments, Poison Plague. And that's the same unique characteristic of the Istrel. Protection from poison and plague. But let's talk to the filthy woman real quick, see what she has to say. Actually, let's do some shopping, see what she has to offer us just before that. Black turpentine, useful in this area because, again, everything's weak to fire. There's also lotus for poison and plague. Alrighty.
Finished already? My little one is a growing boy. Please be generous. Please. You don't deserve to die. So let me give you some advice. This place is buzzing with pests, fattened on a diet of souls. In order to protect yourself, you must keep a lotus with you. The price of survival can never be too high, can it? How many years has it been? That witch Estraya came to this valley with that squid-headed knight. Those ridiculous white robes of hers. I swear I caught her glaring at my son in disgust. Yes, it's true, she is as nasty as they come. And she's a demon to boot. Doesn't surprise me. In order to protect the... Curses, I wasted my breath on. Did that witch send you to
So that might
torment
explain what became of Lysia of Istrel. It's quite possible that she fell from where the three giant brave ones guard Istrel into the pit, became overwhelmed, and turned into the demon Leechmonger. But what about Beto of the Moonlight? Or Beto the Moonlight Knight? Well, his sword, the Great Sword of Moonlight, or the Moonlight... What is it in this one? No, I think this one is the Great Sword of Moonlight, and Dark Souls is the Moonlight Great Sword. Either way, we find his sword in a nest of slugs in 5-2, the next level. And the next level happens to be where we fight the boss, Dirty Colossus. And since we're theorizing here that that Lysia became the Leechmonger, I think it makes sense that Beto also became the Dirty Colossus, the first and second bosses respectively, formed of Estraya's two missing in action companions. So again, I think this also might have been Guardian Owl of GameSpot who pointed this out, but I don't quite remember. So there's even the same type of evidence for Dirty Colossus being Beto, and it's that the unique property of the large sword of Moonlight is that it can't be blocked. You cannot block an attack from that sword. The spell that you get for killing the Dirty Colossus is called Acid Cloud, which corrodes the target's armor, and I believe it makes your attacks unblockable. So everything that's unblockable that you can get comes from 5-2. There's the blind weapon, which can't be blocked, the large sword of Moonlight, and you also get from the 5-2 boss that spell. It's a little bit flimsier than Lysia as the Leechmonger. I'm trying to be really careful with this giant depraved one. This guy, if there are two spots in this level I tend to die, it's to this guy and to the ambush back there where you have to drop down and there's like 5 or 6 small depraved ones. It's flimsier evidence for Beto as the Dirty Colossus just because of the location. It's possible that he was disarmed, because you don't find the large sword of Moonlight on a corpse. It falls out of the slug nest into the ground and you pull it out of the ground after that. So it's possible he was disarmed and just brute forced his way through the rest of the valley and then finally collapsed and died in the boss arena and then became Dirty Colossus. Like I said, a little bit flimsier evidence, but it's definitely what I choose to do because it's consistent. And then, of course, the other of the named followers of Astraea who followed her into the Valley of Defilement, Garl Vinland, resides in 5-3, the final level of this world, and you fight him to get to Astraea. So that's all of her named followers accounted for in that theory. The leeches here, it's really nice to have the longsword or anything with range because you can kind of use the maximum range of the strong attack, the R2 attack, and you'll be just barely outranging the mist of blood that pops out. That blood, by the way, is poisonous. They're big, fat, pestilent, engorged ticks, basically. God, this other giant depraved one is equally frightening. Actually, not equally frightening. You get a little bit more leeway to fight him, back up, rinse and repeat. Oh, I was in the middle of talking about something else when I came upon that ambush earlier in the level. Like I said, it was the one where you have to drop down into the ambush of like 5 or 6 depraved ones. The drop there, I would love to see like a telemetric heat map of the deaths in this level and see, because you would see that area lit up like white phosphorus. Actually, I'd like more telemetry data from games in general. The Souls ones would be especially interesting, but Ubisoft made a post a few years ago after Assassin's Creed Brotherhood came out that was all about their DNA system, which is the telemetry hook they put in Uplay, I think, to harvest data about what's going on in players' games. Like, where are they spending the most time? What are the most common routes people are taking? Are people ignoring one route and not exploring because one way is too convenient? Like, where are people failing the most? And it gives them kind of like a heat map of where all this is happening. It gives like this wonderful visual representation of the concentration of these events. And they use this to figure out where things might be problematic or where they need to be adjusted. Like, if you have a map for a mission and you represent a high concentration of deaths in an area in red and a low concentration with green, and the whole map is green or blank except for one bright red spot, you can conclude that either the difficulty is disproportionate or there's something peculiar about that one spot that's causing this plunge in success. By the way, this is Leechmonger. He is super, super, super easy and dies very quickly at fire. He does have a healing attack. Healing attack? No, he has a little bit of a self-heal where it'll just rapidly regenerate health, but you can damage him through that. He has another attack where he flails his arms around like an idiot. And he has one where if you're standing too far away, he fires leeches at you, and they drain your health and slow you down. But it's no big deal. Really easy fight. If you have a spell from the Dragon God Soul and you're a magic user, you can get something called Firestorm. Even in New Game Plus, and I think maybe New Game Plus Plus, you can one-shot him with that. It is pretty cool. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, folks. I'm just going to wander around the swamp a little bit because there's a lot of, I think, Suckerstone and Marrowstone around here. In the next episode, I might go back to the Shrine of Storms 4-2 and do that level for Saint Urbane, but we'll see. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy. Have a good one.